walking away from 175K in tech. Can't do it anymore. Tech pays, but it sucks. Any of you gone down a similar path? I know this will seem insane to some, but I've decided to quit my job in tech. I make 175K, but can't do it anymore. If any of you have worked in tech before, you know the type of people that run it. Insecure, greedy, self-deceived, arrogant, and downright stupid a lot of the time. I've put up with it for like 8 years now, but just can't do it anymore. Extremely depressed, and it's made me so cynical of the entire world and hateful of people. Going to pursue some meaningful career avenues. May try do some athlete coaching, teaching, start a few charity programs, and may try to do some consulting, contracting on the side just to keep the salary in an okay place. Any of you done something similar? Advice? Thoughts? And #X200B. Be careful, man. You run the risk of finding out that all jobs and people suck. You could be making $15 an hour dealing with the same exact bullshit, but you could wind up finding a well-paying and rewarding career. The odds really aren't in anyone's favor, though. I wish more people understood this. Most people are only there to pay the mortgage and car payments and really don't care how they treat other people. I hate it, especially having worked in healthcare and realizing people will take what they can from whoever they can. Op wants to become a teacher. Lol, go over to the teacher's sub and realize how fucked up teachers have it. No way that's going to be a better environment than where he's at. I enjoy playing video games. It's not the job itself that sucks. It's dealing with the administration, abysmal pay, and shitty parents. I enjoy the sound of rain. Deleted. I enjoy playing video games. Yeah, that's a high school calculus teacher. You've got the cream of the crop kids there, and most likely they're top-notch because the parents are too. Still got the administration and pay, but at least your students and parents are cool. I almost became a biology teacher, but the reasons you gave are why I went for a master's instead, and I make it 31 what my mother-in-law makes as a department head in math as a teacher at 60. Depends on where you're at. My wife makes $90,000 and loves her job. There's crappy admin, but largely she loves her job and life. Some people have such priorities that having the brunt of their job be something that fulfills them will deal with all that other bullshit. Obviously, to each their own. Exactly. I believe some of the teaching jobs in Scandinavia or Japan are supposed to be great. Short hours, well-behaved, eager students, good pay and benefits. Yes, you are dealing with the same adults but being paid pennies. Some teachers make good salary, actually. Yep, almost half of my kids' public school teachers make 6 figures. You just have to live in a state that values education. Dome places are decent pay. 70K ain't nothing. Shutty compared to tech, but so he teaches others to go get jobs and line shareholders' pockets and has a fraction of the salary he used to. More likely, those who can't do, teach. Deleted. Being able to understand that level of complexity is a good filter for how a student might perform, I guess, even if they won't use it in their degree, job. No, it's not, and I never said it was. So you little calculus rant isn't valid. A for effort, F for result. I appreciate a good cup of coffee. That was then, this is now. I appreciate a good cup of coffee. It might be telling of how dog shit of a person I am, but that mindset doesn't make sense to me. Could have kept a lucrative job and volunteered. Maybe put some of that money into whatever program. Then instead of teaching people who are obligated to be there, you're helping people who want to be there. My favorite color is blue. Oh, I didn't mean sending money off into some abyss. I was thinking about a program you'd be volunteering for, and this isn't my personal experience, nor do I speak on behalf of OP. But from what I've read, mostly on Reddit, is the lack of time and money for teachers, while those in tech seem to have the opposite. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather be bored than broke, especially with 2 kids. Exactly. I taught computer science for a decade, and it was about half the pay, but way more rewarding. I haven't been in classroom in a dozen years, and I still get an occasion email, LinkedIn message, or DM from prior students thanking me. I had more positive impact in the world teaching than any other job I have done. The politics absolutely sucked. This has been my thought exactly. I'm so goddamn tired of working for basically nothing, comparatively, to line the pockets of some rich asshole who works maybe 2 hours a week. The anti-work subreddit has ruined my will to work, lol. I have the opportunity to make a real difference train the next generation to line the pockets of their company's shareholders. Greater than when I was programming, I made a lot of money. But all I was doing was lining the pockets of my company's shareholders. One of my coworkers at my previous employer started his career with the company went all in on company stock. His efforts not only got him paid well, but he was also a shareholder whose pockets he was lining. He retired at 43. His stock he amassed over the course of 22 years was worth around $6 million. To put it into context, when he started, the company's stock price was like $9 a share. When he left, it was about $400 a share. Amen. I'm a teacher and I work with the best people in the world. Students and staff. I work at a Title I school with some very difficult personalities and I love my job. There are professions where people lead with the heart. I'm learning to play the guitar. He wants to get into healthcare but complains about coworkers being insecure, greedy, arrogant. That's where those types of people congregate, along with having God complexes. Gatekeepers too. If they feel you are a threat somehow, they will give you wrong, vague information that slows everything down, even if their perceived threat isn't based in reality. I worked in healthcare for many years and found most people to be just the opposite. My brother's good friend was a highly paid layer, and he decided he'd become a high school English teacher. He seems really happy with the move, although I'm sure he's making a lot less these days. Fortunately, he lives in a low cost of living area, so I'm sure that helps. The low cost area means low pay for teachers too. I'm sure that's true. He was a layer for many years, so maybe he was able to save enough to buy a home and can live more comfortably with less. Do you mean bricklayer or are you misspelling lawyer? This tears of joy. Sorry, lawyer. Lol, that was funny. I laughed too hard, rolling on the floor laughing. On my defense, I'm sick with an ear infection, but yeah, maybe that's a lame excuse. Neither. Lays with people. A layer is just a no-frills escort. Bro spelled layer twice, rolling on the floor laughing. I gave him the benefit of the doubt first time, but he double-backed. I honestly thought he used to work for Tyson Chicken to help them lay eggs. The layer. I mean, these are quite opposite ends of the earning spectrum. Lol. My wife was a C-suite executive at Amex. She used to brokerage deals with the likes of Grupo Modelo, Mexican beer company, and the Mexican Secretary of Roads and Transportation. When we had our baby, we decided she would extend her leave, and when the leave was over, she couldn't see herself back in that job. So she got a certificate and became a fourth-grade Title I elementary school teacher. I picked up the difference in income. It was not easy going from dining out daily to learning how to do a groceries list, from having everyone do things for us, to learning to control the chemistry of my pool and cutting my own grass in the 110-degree weather. But we made it and everyone is happier. I am the one in a constant depression cycle because I also hate being in IT. Constantly worrying about when the next mass layoff will be. Not worried about finding a job, because what I do is always in demand. But the change of culture, the interviewing, the bullshit. I agree with Up. IT sucks. Layer? He got laid a lot. Deleted. Male gigolo type thing, I am guessing. Highly paid one. Having 3 months off per year plus holidays is pretty nice work-life balance though. Do the exact opposite of this. Never go to a Reddit sub to see if you want to do something. You will never do it. 100%. Check the subreddit. Those stories are not embellished. There's no need to exaggerate the reality of that career path. My family, including my wife, are all teachers between the UK, Canada, and the USA. I'm SWE. Op is in for a big shock. I'm only a substitute teacher, and I know that they definitely aren't going to be better off being a teacher. The kids suck, the teachers and staff suck, and the pay sucks. At least with his tech job, he was paid well and didn't have to deal with kids. The teacher sub is not indicative of how that job actually works. I suspect 70% of the posts there are pure fiction. I'm a former teacher trying to get into tech. I can't know what the tech grind is like and how stressful that is. But I doubt the worst of it approaches kids literally assaulting one another in the middle of class. And on your worst day in a high-paying tech job, you still get to go home and enjoy your paycheck instead of worrying about how much groceries will cost this week. Am one myself, post-secondary college. It's rough sometimes, making $80 to $85K a year. Thinking of re-entering my career field I teach, but won't make that. Be lucky to make $65K starting with a regular shop job. I agree here. Teaching does have its perks, but ultimately the organization will make calls and keep problem students in and it drive you crazy. But in a similar boat, and having left jobs to discover each one has their own ups and downs. And you have to pick your poison at some point. If Op makes $175K a year, unless he teaches at university, it will likely still be $75K less than that if he has the degrees to accommodate. But I also feel Op's pain. I think you're forgetting that there is something for everyone. You are right that the world is filled with all different types of people. But why have a miserable time and do something you don't enjoy? It's better that you enjoy what you do and then just have to deal with all of the other minds that are not like yours. I am also in the process of leaving tech to pursue something different within the same organization, so the pay structure will be similar. Tech can certainly drain your energy in unimaginable ways. I would rather use my energy on something I enjoy instead of what I don't. My mom was a teacher for 30 years and loved it. I would assume that's very location dependent. And my cousin is a teacher and she loves her school. I do that with art professors every time I am feeling nostalgic for academia. Oh no, I've done both. My tech leadership role currently is 1,000x harder and more exhausting and less rewarding than teaching for $25,000 was lol. I did this exact thing like 6 months ago. Romanticized the idea of teaching. Summers off, maybe some coaching. Wandered over to the teachers subreddit. Notepad out of there so fast. Or athletic coaching. I wouldn't think of that as a logical career pivot. What credentials do you have to coach this sport? Well, I have an extensive history of building databases, etc. So I am a perfect fit. I work in tech and a surprising amount of people making $200,000 plus hate their job and want to quit for something else. In my experience, the lower the pay, harder you work, worse people, less benefits, worse work-life balance. If regular people knew there are 22-year-olds making 3x their salary, remote 3 days a week, show up to the office at 10 a.m., leave at 3:30 p.m., unlimited free lunch, dinner, snacks, barista fresh coffee, unlimited vacation, and still complaining about work, they'd be a wrench revolution. The discrepancies between salaries and perks are ridiculous, and I agree that people who complain about their high-paying tech jobs haven't worked in other industries. They could be way worse off lol. They make $200K but have less disposable income than me because they live in SoCal or San Fran. Income doesn't matter, disposable money does, and if it's all eaten away by rent at $3,000 a month for a studio, that isn't a way I would want to live. I have a couple friends that have quit 100% remote tech jobs paying $200K plus to do more monotonous, less stressful work for them. They lived in pretty darn LCOL areas. Some people would rather deliver mail, teach kids, work for a forest service, etc., even if they don't have as much disposable income. Tech worker here, and often I reminisce fondly about baling hay and shoveling shit for minimum wage. Felt like I had more self-respect and more happiness than at times. Probably because there's more job satisfaction in completing a physical task versus something online or some bullshit Excel crap. I understand that. Yep, moved 14 cubic yards of sand with another dude for my kid's preschool sandbox this weekend. The BS corporate giving, the lemming 5K runs. Nothing felt more gratifying than setting up a sandbox to be used for at least a decade, and it made me think real quick about real impact I could have. That's awesome. Same here, but now I'm a slave to the money. Marriage, kids. The days I could just decide to screw off and switch careers are over. I served in the Army, worked landscaping and construction over summers in college, and I would seriously rather do any of that than what I do. What's stopping me? Well, for the Army, I'm way out of shape and probably too old to re-up at this point. For the other things, it's just, well, money. I'm fortunately able to support an entire family and have plenty of disposable income. That, suffice to say, would not be the case if I switched careers. I mean, fortunately, I don't actually hate my job, so it really isn't a big deal. It's pretty easy. It's remote, I get paid an ass ton. However, man, I just felt so good working those jobs, and I just feel nothing in regard to my current career. It could just be longing for my youth. I should probably get off my ass and go to the gym, would probably feel better. The feeling nothing bit is the worst. People also forget that tech has an incredibly high turnover even when the economy is good. You are a battle-scarred vet if you last 3 years, especially in NorCal. All the friends I had who managed to get in got burnout and spent all that lovely money on therapy. I feel like this is a lot of jobs in general. I'm an X-ray tech and it's equally as terrible as what you just said. At least tech has a chance at paying higher eventually. May I ask what is terrible for you as X-ray tech? I am becoming an X-ray tech myself. Urgent cares, hospitals are run the same way as these toxic corporations, and it's quite upsetting to see. They don't care about you or the patient. They just care about profit. I'd rather work for a company where that's obvious versus healthcare where they pretend that isn't the case lol. Being understaffed is a common occurrence. Might have just been the places I've worked. But patients do not care. They are just pissed off they had to wait an extra 20 minutes. So you'll be working your butt off, say, to have patients complain to you. be assholes. Being understaffed in the hospital was even worse. Trying to move a patient from a stretcher to the X-ray table is just dangerous. Again, I just happen to work for a super toxic hospital when there isn't enough support. Patients in general are super entitled these days. So many Karens, it's actually insane. It's made me so bitter already, and I hate it. Having to take extremely difficult pictures, either because the patient is incooperative, or body habitus, etc. And some doctors just don't care. They will tell you how crappy the X-ray is and how you have to repeat. Like, that, sir. I could not get the lateral elbow on this screaming 2-year-old that wouldn't keep still. I'm sorry. Holidays, weekends, not a consistent schedule. Might be a pro for people, but for me, I was so stressed not knowing what my schedule looked like the next month. People also tend to take X-ray for granted and don't respect us. Just think we can take a picture of Anyo, easy peasy, by pressing a button. Providers need to cover their asses because of the Karens, so you will do a ton of super duper dumb X-rays that make no sense to do. Patient fell, so let's do foot, ankle, tibia, femur, hip, L-spine, and SI joints. Upside down face, this is fine if you can talk to the provider and they respect you. I do love these providers, TBF. Great to work with, but some of them will just argue and look down at you. So you do the 100 X-rays and then you're super behind for the day. It's just fruit. Straighting doing X-rays, aren't necessary at all. If you want to make more money, you'll probably have to specialize in either MRI, CT, or mammo. And I personally have no interest in those, so I can't really move up. Honestly, every job is going to suck. So my theory now is to find one where you can stomach the environment. I personally hate hospitals and the healthcare culture, schedules. If I hate a tech job, but I can maybe be hybrid one day, remote, have a chance to make a higher income, but rough hard work and experience, etc., then I'd rather do that than X-ray smiley face. That being said, X-ray is just not for me personally. Some people love it. If you have any questions, you can DM me smiley face. Marketer in tech here. I am just about 20 years in tech or tech-adjacent roles, software implementations. I am pretty decent at picking companies with reasonable culture and setting work boundaries. I've had one toxic place, and that was my boss, who was an idiot. But I made some pretty good friends from there. Another place wasn't toxic but stressed due to dumb decisions by founders, but had good culture. The rest of my roles have been fine, and I do work beyond my 40 hours a week too often. It is a much easier path to a well-paid job than others. I live in the Bay Area, so I need all the income I can get. It is really important to not make work your identity, and you will be way less stressed. Totally agree. Personally, I always interview for roles when I'm happy with my current one. Then I treat interviews that roll in as me interviewing the company and the team. They really have to convince me that I want to work for that company, that leadership, that direct management, etc. It's a luxury a lot of people don't have, but it's made my life and mental health way better. I think too many people only start applying when they're laid off, burned out, etc. Not a good mental place to be making these decisions. Hopefully more people start being proactive even if they have no intent of changing roles, companies. 175 to 36 is still 139. Assuming after tax they're looking at like 135, that's still 99K just floating after paying rent. Car 9K a year including insurance is 90K. At that point, what's left? Food, clothes, etc. still at a good clip of 8K a month to blow of free spending. Student loans are going to eat up a substantial chunk for me over the next 5 years. Housing is super expensive though. Not disagreeing, but even if you're paying 48K a year in housing, that would still leave their disposable income at 87K a year. That's more than enough to buy food, pay bills, and save. $4,000 a month is like a 2-bedroom apartment. Mortgages are more like $8,000 for a family-sized home. Daycare is like $3,000 a month where I live. That salary is great for a single person, even one that has student loan debt. For a family with kids, or kids in debt, well, not so much. Housing could totally be $60 to $80K. Childcare is $30,000. Private school, very, very common in my city, is $15 to $20K kid a year. Saving for retirement, college, car expenses could easily be $8 to $10K a year. Private schooling is not a necessity. It does not matter if it is very common. Greater than income doesn't matter, disposable money does. Agreed. The big trap is most people are used to calculate their disposable income as percent of their income rather than gross. I'll randomly use a hypothetical of Raleigh, North Carolina as an example. with rent as 25% of one's after-tax income. Raleigh, asterisk income equals 100K asterisk rent, 25%, equals 25K asterisk disposable income equals asterisk 75K asterisk. Now let's go high and say rent is 50% of after-tax income in San Francisco. Asterisk income equals 200K asterisk rent, 50%, equals 100K asterisk disposable income. Asterisk 100K. That's just rent. What about all the other things costing more? Utilities, fuel, taxes, childcare, etc. North Carolina is barely behind in your example and will edge ahead with more life expenses. Yes, but then you have to live in North Carolina. You can very easily afford $3K per month in rent at $200K per year. Like, very easily. $4K isn't even a problem. Depends. Do you have student loans? Do you have children? Do you have car payments? Did you buy a home from 1920 that needs a lot of work? Do you have a shopping problem? Do you like to go out and not stay in? I make $13K a month after taxes but have 2 kids. 1 car payment, student loans, that right there is $4K a month, another $4K, and I have $5K left. But what about utilities, groceries, gas, saving for retirement, saving for my kids' futures? I'm more comfortable in the $3K max, and $200K has as take home than I do, and I pay less in taxes as I'm in SC. Also noticed I said $3K a month and all I get is a damn studio. My $2,600 mortgage for my house I'm building now is $4,000 SQFT. I'd be pissed paying $4K for a shack. Carrot, hashtag gets it. Nah, I work remote and make more than that, and so do a lot of folks in my niche of the industry. Really depends on the market, role, technology stack, and the work culture. Not all companies are shit to work at, just most of them. What do? I work in a pre-sales technical advisor architecture role. It's in the cloud, on-prem application platform niche of the industry. Honestly, if someone is making $200,000 a year and is struggling to keep hold of disposable income, that is their own fault, regardless of the cost of living. $200,000 in San Francisco is equal to $115,000 in Baltimore and $97,000 in Indianapolis. Anyone who would complain about making that kind of money in either of those 2 latter cities would be laughed off of the internet instantly. But for some reason, when it's California, people lose perspective. This obviously changes with household size, but there is at a certain point no excuse. Yeah, I agree with this completely. I'm in tech now, but I've worked elsewhere before. Tech is absolutely amazing in comparison to nearly any other industry. Great pay, perks, etc. And a ton less stress than most other industries. I get annoyed at times at how much people in tech complain about things because they have absolutely no perspective or appreciation for how good they have it. At the end of the day, another person's perception of their quality of life is theirs to make. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, nor do you know the intimate details of that person's life. If they're unhappy with their career, they don't need someone like yourself telling them otherwise. Their life, their decisions. I've worked in retail, as a waitress, as a bartender, as a solar salesperson, as a debt collector. For the last 10 years I've been working in tech, and it is absolutely soul-sucking after a while, and I hate it. I'd be happier waiting tables, but I won't be doing that since I have other skills. Not true at all. Lots of people who hate working in tech have worked in other industries. Also, working in tech often means living in a high-call area, so that $200K salary won't afford someone the ability to buy a home, even if there are 2 spouses making that money. They need to get off their high horses and earn. They will most likely hate other jobs even more. I see you've been reading blind.co. The Odin Project will be my avenue to this. Deleted. This is true. The field is getting saturated because everybody learned about the said good benefits and pay and wanted a piece of the pie. CS now attracts people who aren't necessarily passionate about coding, but want to make a quick buck. Yeah, no cap. I'm mainly interested in the money. Thanks inflation, cause apparently lower paid workers don't deserve to exist or something. If I can even get a $60K job from it, I'd consider it a win. Deleted. Where do I sign up? 2 years out of college, B.S. in cybersecurity, and stuck with the BS of being laid off a week after my kid was born. Apply in the Bay Area. Don't underprice yourself. You'd be surprised how many callbacks you get as long as you can format a resume to include all the keywords in the job description. Tech is soul destroying, my friend. Money isn't everything. Sure, if you don't have a job and can work in tech, why not? But basing your whole work life around sitting in front of a computer like a zombie is not a dream for some. It appears most get sold this utopia of high salaries living the dream. How is it a dream if you hate being a software dev or an IT guy? I've worked a lot of jobs in my life, and let me tell you this, working as a software developer, one of the most soul-destroying, numbing jobs I ever did. I'd rather do a job I like for half that salary and look myself in the mirror with confidence. They already know, but everyone is too comfortable. The reason why nobody revolts is food, air, liquids, comfortable bed, AC, and heat, shelter, and Netflix, streaming. People want comfort more than anything. If they have that, there is no need to revolt. That's why there's so much inequality in every industry everywhere on Earth, but nobody has risen up. Lol, maybe except Bangladesh recently. So everyone should just move into tech and saturate it even more? All gold mines end one day. People love to bitch. Many don't realize how good they actually have it. I'd love to see how much unlimited vacation you are allowed to take before you get replaced. Wait, what job is this? Anything software engineering from San Francisco down to San Jose. Remember, tax takes 30%. And median one-bedroom hovers around $3,000 a month. House usually 1.5 and low-end to median of $3,000 in Palo Alto. Y'all harn. Greater than if regular people knew there are 22-year-olds. Greater than making 3x their salary, remote 3 days a week, show up to the office at 10 a.m., leave at 3:30 p.m., unlimited free lunch, dinner, snacks, barista fresh coffee, unlimited vacation. Which jobs are these specifically? 35 and will kill for 1/3 of what those kids are making. Who is giving out unlimited vacation time? This sounds like Google and maybe Meta? Or are you saying there are other companies doing this? Are these people usually from good university in East and West Coast in America? I cannot imagine this being the norm. The hardest I've ever worked was the brockest I've ever been. My current job as a federal contractor is so laughably easy, the pay is criminal. Fail fast and die young. If you type in it into Indeed, even for NYC, most jobs are under 100K. How is it possible for 22-year-olds to be making 200K? Plenty of people who are only there to pay their bills treat others well. Honestly, it's the people who want something beyond that. Power, prestige, ego boosts from their jobs who do the worst things. I'm at my job to get money, but I'm still friendly with my coworkers. Being the lead foreman, I'm in charge and treat my guys well. Nice. 100% the system is beyond saving. CEO and higher up just cares about hash, and we rehash on a spreadsheet. Give them some credit. We're not numbers on spreadsheet. We're numbers in a database. And SQL relational database. Dude. Well, 160 years ago, people worked all day to simply stay alive. And children died all the time. I'll work a modern 2023 job any day. If you put those same people in an office job, they would jump out the window eventually, and I obviously don't know you, but I could list all types of jobs I guarantee you won't last in. My brother lays concrete for a living. Anytime I was frustrated with my job, I would go labor for him for like $8 an hour back then. Your theory is far from reality. My brother would have never lasted a minute in any job I have had long. Deleted. Not always. There used to be some pretty easy, but low-paying jobs back in the day. These days, because of technology, we have a lot more tasks thrown at us and are expected to complete them with tighter deadlines. A lot of procedures have been engineered to a point that a company will know exactly how long it takes you to complete so-and-so task or know where you should be at all times. It's like comparing apples and oranges. I will say our work environments have definitely improved exponentially. Half the reason to me is telling people how much work should be a passion. If you don't gotta hate it, but it's fucking work, not what defines you. Keep a good work-life balance. Have hobbies that fulfill you. And with a great job like tech, you can afford those hobbies. Get a shitty pay job that's slightly less annoying. And it can suck massively if you then are too broke to do anything else. Worst are the ones you trot out the spiel about well-being and family. Hypocritical bastards who will shit on you at the first opportunity. I took a role in IT healthcare not understanding how fucked this industry is. Pensive face. That's cause everyone is just an NPC. Honestly, it is definitely more fucked in healthcare with just how many employees do not give a shit, from nurses to doctors. Always has me a little more wary with my own health-related issues. Old thread, but I disagree. There are hundreds of millions of people in this country. Saying that most people are like that is a huge generalization. I agree 100%. There is no longer a pride or joy in work. Maybe 5% of us achieve that. It's all about money. Money gets us to financial independence sooner. I make 120K a year and hate my life. Everyone who makes 20 an hour below me also hates their life. Even worse, $15 an hour jobs usually means the service industry where you'll encounter a lot of Karens. I must be crazy, or the people here saying a retail food service job is better than a cushy office job have never worked one. Like they saw American Beauty once and think it depicts the real world. I do electric construction and have had friends who work in offices say, "Oh, how I'd love to just work outside with my hands and nothing else to worry about." And I'm like, no, that's not how it is. You have to deal with the good old boys club, shitty management, lying contractors trying to screw you, being treated like shit for being green. If you are new, I just got off a solar job in Colorado and it was terrible. Had boss screaming at us daily, high turnover, being in the sun all day, fully covered with a harness, working with guys dumber than rocks. I could go on. Yes, the actual work part, building stuff, can be interesting. Everything else about it is a pain in the ass. I'm actually looking to get into IT, but my point is, the stuff I've heard office friends complain about is literally nothing to the stuff that happens in the field. Not even close. Oh no, they switched our stand-up from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now I actually have to get out of bed in the morning. Give me a break. Okay, totally this. I worked in restaurants for many years, always chasing down that new gig opening up because it was supposed to be the real deal, only to eventually realize it doesn't matter. They all suck. People are assholes and want to make you suffer for some reason. Found my way into tech, and despite some of those mentioned annoyances, I'm treated so much better and paid way more. Even if I was treated the same as before, at least I'd be making plenty more to make up for it. That hasn't been my experience. Maybe I was just unlucky in the tech jobs I had, but compared to other job types, warehouse, retail, food service, I found the people in IT to be much more unbearable. Arrogant, unwilling to help others because they want to hoard knowledge. If you do ask for help, they'll do the bare minimum to pretend that they are helping. Dismissive, sometimes friendly on the surface, but will shit-talk you behind your back to try to further their own careers. Those types very common in the IT jobs I had, but in other non-IT jobs, people were mostly kind and helpful. Maybe that's just how people are in office jobs versus more physical kinds of jobs. I haven't had any kind of office work other than IT, so I really don't know. Office jobs tend to be more politics. When miserable people don't have any other way to deal with being miserable, they take it out on you via office politics. But that's still just the people. Not every office has miserable people, and the job doesn't have to be a bad job to have miserable people. People are often just miserable for no reason, or for reasons outside of work. Every type of job has these people. Not every office is full of these people. Hoarding knowledge and gatekeeping. Unbearable in all fields, but probably a bit more common in tech, I guess. Knowledge hoarders are the worst. This project could be done in a month if you just share the details in the accessibility audit. Brenda. But no, Brenda would not share the report because then she would have no more power. This is how companies end up with 3 different types of SaaS tool that do the exact same thing. This kind of shit happens in lower-level tech positions where people do menial work but consider themselves God's gift to the world. When you get into higher-level, more complicated disciplines, it's entirely different. Knowledge is shared eagerly, and egos have been long since humbled by expertise. You've just described the whole corporate world. All office jobs and people involved are like this. You have to step on people in order to exist. I'm not even thinking about promotion, even if you don't want to. I think the matter is we know we're chained, and everyone is pissed about it and looking for ways to make themselves seemingly indispensable to the company avoid doing more. Well, no dough, no work. Obviously, somebody then has to pick up the slack. Somebody always gets the shit. And eventually, but it's a dynamic balance in non-toxic organizations. There has to be a solution where employees feel more involved, part of their organization, to let go of their insecurities. I wonder how applicable employee-owned companies are to large organizations. That sounds good when you read about the employee-owned coffee shop online, but probably impractical at scale, especially considering we can't gauge really what our contribution is in the grand scale of things at $1 billion. Our company with a few thousand other people. Huge. False generalization. Do you personally know everyone who works in an office? I work in an office and the people are delightful. Happy for you, mate. Unfortunate for me. I have background in consulting. And, well, we're mostly assholes, and that's not even a generalization but a requirement to qualify. Also, kudos for your necromancy skills. I had no idea for a minute what I was looking there. 10 months. Impressive. Cheers, beer mugs. I found the exact reverse and brainwashed juniors to help first. All that matters is team output, so you providing some help to unblock is greater than finishing assigned tasks. I've also not met resistance to this from managers. From greater than maybe that's just how people are in office jobs versus more physical kinds of jobs. I haven't had any kind of office work other than IT, so I really don't know. Well, I can't say for sure one way or another. But what I can say is, even 20 years later, office space wound up being prophetic in just about every way possible. Did you really mean idiocracy? You just described every public accounting job I had. I was miserable. Got my own little thing now and realize if you're working for someone else's company, you're nothing but an expense and a nice shiny thing to show the clients. From my experience, the IT people are like engineers. Mental dick measuring. They want to know they are working with someone on or above their level. Then they respect you. The alternative is to crack the code and actually get them to let you in on the type of person they are. Ask questions about them and let them talk. Everyone sees IT as robots and just people to call when something breaks. So show them you see the person and it sometimes breaks the ice. If that doesn't work, then try a ham. Don't use the hammer, but let them think you might haha. Wow. I've met hoarders of knowledge, unwilling to help, and people that pretend to be kind on the surface but talk behind your back in jobs that require you to physically destroy your body. IT isn't that bad when you've experienced all of that in harder jobs. It does get frustrating. It is annoying feeling like you can't ask for help, but it's better than being in a job that pays way less and does more to your body. I call it nerd rage. I'll gladly deal with them for the salary though, lol. I am way past giving a shit about what other people say or do. 16 years in the service industry have 0 in IT, but there's a flaw to that theory. Those same people are customers. And being a grunt in the service industry isn't that bad, although you get paid like shit. Being in charge is what sucks, as all those laid-back workers are a pain in the fucking ass when you have to accomplish something. Retail and food service over IT? Jesus, you must have worked at very shitty places. As much an IT job can suck, it was never near the shit show that happens in retail. Like night and day. Never done warehouse jobs, but I suppose it depends. I fail to see how all of that affects my job. Is this more of a concern for entry-level or junior employee? I've met with those information silo people, but can still always find someone to get knowledge dumped from. Plus, any competent company will have some form of documentation. Shit talking behind my back doesn't work also, as I'm not in the office to make friends and my work can show how reliable I am. Wow, you sound like a drag to work with. I'm probably one of the few people approached for knowledge dump and mentorship. I just don't really socialize at work. Reach me between 9 to 5 and I help you. Otherwise, I don't really have time for chit-chat or office politics. 100% nailed it. The tech industry is a big grinder where brown nosing actually works very well. In fact, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't kiss ass, you don't progress, period. I've actually watched PPL get promotions who were substandard at their job. They do excel at lying and manipulation very well. Eventually, you just get nauseated and exhausted by the mid-year reviews and the stress of constantly sensing a hatchet above your head. Then, watch them bring in 22-year-olds that you are expected to download your years of experience to so they can turn you out to pasture. I'm with up. I'm getting out and I don't care what I do. I'm going to cut expenses and find something meaningful where I don't constantly want to smash my boss in the face. I'm absolutely not alone in this sentiment. So beautifully put, it's virtually poetic. As I've wrestled with similar questions, I've come to believe, if I'm going to work 40 to 60 hours a week regardless, I am not going to voluntarily make 50 to 75% less. Transferring the stress of work to how do I deal with the multiple large medical bills I've had recently and paid out of monthly cash flow seems to be missed in these decisions. I've seen blue-collar fantasize about white-collar jobs, white-collar jobs fantasize about blue-collar jobs, people wanting to step back from whatever their stressful situation is to a utopian career daydream. Find work that you are good at, that allows you to have a life outside of work. For me, it's my family, but pays you well to pursue those things. Make your value apart from your career. Maybe that means stepping away from tech, but maybe it means accepting work sucks at times in very few places. High paying or low paying. Will they ever care about you like friends and family will? Take care of yourself, put yourself and your family above the company, and okay, big salaries for all you can while you can. This so much. Sure, tech is stressful and sucks sometimes, but I also get paid a bunch and can't think of anything else that would give me the same work-life balance. The grass is rarely greener when it comes to jobs. Nah, he can go. Opens up spots for new grads who remember what it's like to not be able to pay rent and would rather deal with the horrors that this man suffers through for the ability to live comfortably. That's what I was thinking. There are good companies and bad companies in tech. And there are good companies and bad companies outside of tech. Now, if Op has an interest in charity, then absolutely, do it. Feel good about yourself. Maybe try a stint with the U.S. Digital Service. But if they think that getting out of tech will get them into a nice, happy, well-adjusted work family, oh boy. Yep, a lot of jobs you are just doing bullshit to make someone else rich. They all follow the same formula with different numbers. I make a lot and enjoy my career. It definitely is possible. Agreed. And I'm in tech. As someone who worked in public sector and healthcare prior to getting into tech, can confirm that people suck everywhere. I'd rather get paid more to deal with sucky people than less. You even run the risk of discovering that if everybody everywhere you work is an asshole, it's not them. This is not helpful. There are assholes everywhere these days. Just because you see them everywhere doesn't at all mean it's you. Also doesn't mean it's 100% them. Takes two to tango. Not always. No, it doesn't. That's a very toxic mindset. I didn't say always, but narcissists tend to always blame others for their problems. Taking a step back and trying to see if you made mistakes yourself is a healthy approach to life, not toxic. Sometimes the other party is to blame, but rarely 100%. It could also mean he hasn't learned how to command respect, not in the mean screech sense, in a soft power sense. Nah, not all jobs suck. I've worked as a professional artist almost my entire adult career. I love it dearly. It's so fucking fulfilling, and the people mostly rock. I wish I didn't have to work at all, but that's unfortunately not reality. But I do very much enjoy my career. Artists are one of rare exceptions. Artists tend to be driven by passion of the work and doing what they love, not backstabbing their way up the corporate ladder. This should be the only comment. This is very true on so many levels. 18 per hour bachelor's degree right here, sleepy thumbs down. Yep, can't run away from corporate America. I'll take Buddy's job. This is the answer. Comment of the year. All jobs suck. Stick with the one that pays. Yep, it's bullshit all around. At least with $175K per year, Op can afford therapy. I didn't think you understand the pressure and grind. There is number 15-hour job that would expect you to keep a company going or finding a solution. I'm currently trying to implement a new server ENV as a vendor for a very large financial institution. I make well into six figures. Every day I contemplate leaving BC of project I've been left in and the mounting obstacles that prevent me from moving on. I would love to be managing a gym again or running a grocery deli.